Top 10 creepy radio transmissions. Number 10. The E9 Magnetic Field Station. Each transmission from this station began with a rendition of composer Jean-Michel Jarre's Overture Appréciator. From there, the statement 44D was repeated twice, followed by the statement again, again. Each transmission then ended with a repeat of the same song. Both of the statements were spoken in Arabic. Though the station is now inactive, a lot of fabulous folklore still surrounds it. Many believe that the origin of the station was an Algerian intelligence operation. Number 9. The Backwards Music Station, aka Whalesong. The Backwards Music Station has been picked up by international shortwave listeners for decades. Ironically, it doesn't actually play backwards music, nor does it play whale songs. However, typical reports from listeners have likened the sounds to whale mating calls or records played backwards. No one knows for sure who's responsible for the station, but there are a few working theories. Some believe the radio signals originate from US naval bases on the southern coast. This is because the frequencies are similar to naval frequencies, and some reports have speculated that the station is in Virginia Beach, Jacksonville, or Florida. Others believe the radio signals originate from England, where the frequency strength is relatively strong. The third theory is that the Whalesong signals are actually transnational communications that employ LIN-COMPEX. LIN-COMPEX is a unique form of signal communications employed by both defense and commercial industries. Number 8. Atención, Cuban station. Following the Cold War, it was easy to access this station, where the automated voice of a woman speaks in Spanish. The woman keeps repeating the same list of Spanish numbers over and over in a monotonous tone before eventually switching to a new list. It's known as Atención because every transmission begins with the Spanish word Atención. Many believe the station is Cuban in origin because on multiple occasions Radio Havana audio sounds would be mixed in with the number repetitions. This supports the idea that Atención is a spy station used by the Cuban government, possibly for communication between Cuban spies living in the US as refugees and their Cuban counterparts. This station is still working today and can be listened to online. Number 7. The Lincolnshire Poacher Station. From the 1970s until 2008, the Lincolnshire Poacher Station was one of the most consistent stations discovered. The namesake of this radio station is an English folk song that plays as a signal interval. The song is followed by a 10-minute call signal. The creepy rendition of the folk song and the subsequent call signal are produced by an electronic female voice with a British accent. The prevailing view is that the station was operated by the British Secret Intelligence Service and broadcast from a Royal Air Force base in Cyprus. Considered one of the last true Cold War relics, the station went off-air without warning in 2008. The station's message system was so complicated that for almost 40 years it sent out messages that could be divided into 200 separate groups, and each group was replayed daily. Number 6. Yosemite Sam Station. This station has only been in operation since the early 2000s. Each broadcast starts and ends with repeated recordings of cartoon character Yosemite Sam saying, "Vomit, I'm going to blow you to smithereens." Like clockwork, the Yosemite Sam station starts every 7 seconds following the top of the hour. The transmission is then followed by a data burst that is repeated in ascending order over 4 different frequencies, and 10 seconds go by before the repeat of the transmission. The complete process takes around 2 minutes. The purpose and origin of the station are unknown. Number 5. US State Department Kkn 50. Last heard in 1997, Kkn 50 was run by the CIA, although the station was officially operated for the US Department of State. It is believed that the station was operated out of the Warrington Training City in Marshall, Virginia, though false locations were often given. The WTC is essentially a transmitter site that was used as a CIA counting station for the sending of transmissions to both foreign and domestic entities. The station transmitted messages that were a combination of alphanumerical codes. Though you would be hard-pressed to actually understand or decode the messages, here's a typical example. QRA, 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 DE, KK950, 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 QSX 6/10/11K. For years, local residents who picked up the frequency were dumbfounded by the meaning of these codes. Number 4. The Guineo Cuban Station. Guineo, Cuba has been home to more than one Spanish-language number station. Guineo is approximately 15 miles away from Havana, and many believe that it's where the Cuban intelligence department relays its espionage signals and other information to its international counterparts. In fact, one theory is that the Guineo station is where broadcasts to Soviet agents were once transmitted. Number 3. The E10 Mossad Station. Before going off the air in 2011, the E10 Mossad station was one of the most active of all numbers stations. It is believed that the station was operated by the Mossad, which is a department of the Israeli intelligence agency. Unlike some other stations, E10 features a female voice reciting phonetic alphabet identifiers. For example, each station starts off with a common identifier such as Echo Zulu India or EZI. After repeating this identifier for 3 minutes, the signal proceeds into a message that doesn't make any sense to untrained ears. Following this second part, more common identifiers are repeated, followed by the phrase repeat, repeat. The message concludes with the statement end transmission, and then the entire complicated process starts over again. Confused? You're not alone. Number 2. The Swedish Rhapsody Station. The Swedish Rhapsody Station is actually a German station that transmits an eerie, almost childlike voice. It emanated in the 1970s and disappeared in 1988. Transmissions began with a tune that sounds like a music box version of the first few bars of Swedish Rhapsody No. 1 by composer Hugo Alfven. The version plays for 5 minutes straight and is followed by 3 separate 5-figure messages that are repeated 3 times in sequential order. Following this intro is 3 100-group messages and 1 50-group message, with each group message being repeated twice. It's dumbfounding, to say the least. Number 1. The UVB-76 Buzzer Station. UVB-76 is one of the most famous and elusive stations in history. People believe the radio signal has been in existence since the 1970s, but the earliest recording was made in 1982. The station transmits a repeating buzzing sound that plays almost endlessly, only occasionally being interrupted with an eerie Russian voice that recites a mix of Russian names and numbers. The purpose of the UVB-76 buzzer station has never been revealed, regardless of events occurring in Russia, including the end of the Afghan War and the fall of the Soviet Union. UVB-76 has continued to do its thing. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe to our channel by clicking the subscribe button in the top right. Our channel has loads of other awesome videos just like this.